Well, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me today for this extract from the Complete ALCO Blueprint, my comprehensive bank training course. My name's Howard Lothrop. I'm the founder of Echo Partners. I'm glad you could join us today. Today we're going to talk about non-maturity deposit assumptions. First, let's start off. What are non-maturity deposits? Well, as the name implies, they're deposits that do not have a stated maturity. Things like your transaction accounts, money market accounts, now accounts. So how, for the purposes of our interest rate risk exposure calculations, how do we determine the average life or duration of these accounts, or how do we determine their sensitivity to rate movements? Well, there are really only four ways that you can estimate these accounts. One is you can go with the put them in the overnight bucket. Contractually or legalistically that might be correct. It's simply inaccurate, though. They don't behave that way. You can sit down with your top management team, anecdotally talk about how you expect them to behave. You have the best insight into your customer base. Probably you'll come up with some very accurate estimates. Unfortunately, you won't have the sort of written documentation that your regulator's going to require. The third way you can estimate the average lives for these non-maturity deposits is to have a deposit study. Sometimes that's a thing that we can do, but a lot of times it's a higher degree of expense or time commitment, very data intensive. So community banks have shied away from that. The fourth way is to use the Fiducia safe harbor estimates that were published by the agencies, the regulatory agencies, in response to the thrift crisis. These provide a multi-year average life shorter than what you would probably estimate if you were to do your own deposit study. The advantage that you have with the Fiducia 305 estimates is that you do have written documentation, and we know our regulators like that. So what about beta? We hear beta. What is beta? Beta is the sensitivity of the deposits with respect to rate. That is, if rates increase 1% or 100 basis points, and you only increase these accounts 50 basis points, your beta is 0.5. Beta is going to go from 0 to 1. Decay rate. Decay is a measure of average life. When you see decay or when you hear decay, you should think average life. A high rate of decay means a short average life. A low rate of decay means a longer average life. There you have it in a nutshell. It's a non-maturity deposit assumption overview. If you have questions, particularly if you have questions concerning how you can implement a cost-effective community bank deposit study, please go to my website, echopartners.com/ask. Leave your questions for me or request for additional information. I promise you a personal response. This is lesson 10 in our 19-part series. You can sign up and get the entire series at echopartners.com/lessons. Again, this is an extract from the Complete ALCO Blueprint. My name's Howard Lothrop. Thank you and goodbye.